Welcome back to Wait, What Do You Do Again? I'm your host, Meghan Deford. And if you've been feeling stuck recently, like you're frozen or totally overwhelmed and you don't know where to start, I want you to hear this. You're probably not stuck. You're most likely disconnected. And today we're going to break down what that actually means and why it happens to so many badass women. And at the end, I'll give you an exercise that I give to my clients when they feel like they're stuck and they can't move forward. Stay with me because this one might shift something for you. And if you're enjoying this podcast, please rate, review, subscribe, and share it with a friend. We want to grow together, and I would so appreciate it. So thanks for listening, and let's go. So last week, we talked about the idea that ready isn't a feeling, it's a choice. And it's something that we create through movement and not something we just like magically wake up with one day, right? And the response to that episode was so consistent. I heard the same thing over and over again. And it was like, I feel ready, but I'm stuck. So let's talk about that because I see this a lot with my clients. And honestly, I feel that way a lot too. And here's the thing that I have come to believe after working with so many women with this, that we're not actually stuck, we're disconnected. And we're disconnected from ourselves. We're disconnected from our wants and our needs and our values and our preferences and from our internal voice that's underneath all of this noise around us. All of these expectations and responsibilities and opinions, all of this external, this endless stream of external information telling you who you should be and what you should want and how you should live your life. And I mean, we see it all the time. We see it like we constantly have stuff coming at us all the time. And as women, so many of us were taught how to perform well before, even if we were taught how to listen to ourselves and listen to what we want and decide what we want. We learned to achieve, we learned how to be responsible, how to make other people feel comfortable, how to smile, how to be successful by other people's definitions. But very rarely do we stop and ask, what do I actually want? Like right now. And not what would impress people. And when we lose touch with that question, life starts to feel really murky and it can feel heavy. And you become really, really busy, but also you feel kind of directionless. You're exhausted, but also you're like productive and you're checking the boxes and you start to check out. And so there's a disconnect there. And naturally, we try and solve it. And this is where it gets like really interesting because we try to solve it, but usually that makes it worse. And you can feel so overwhelmed that you freeze. It creates that sort of analysis paralysis, and your brain literally cannot prioritize what is urgent and what's not because everything feels urgent. And then it becomes unclear. So you just stop. And then the other thing that people do, and I'm like the president of this, is more research. You read the books and you listen to the podcasts, including this one, but we're going to do something at the end. You save every Instagram post. You create color-coded spreadsheets. You buy the planner. You buy pens for the planner. And I love personal development. I mean, that's the world that I live in. But consuming information is not the same as creating change. And information can be very empowering. But when all you're doing is creating or gathering information and calling it research, it's stunting you. And then, of course, we have hustle culture, which is just like optimize everything, wake up earlier, do it harder, find a better system, optimize yourself, track more things, be young, smile. And the message is basically like, you're the problem. And if your life isn't working, you haven't organized yourself aggressively enough. You're just not doing the right things. And when you're already overwhelmed and exhausted, this is like the worst advice. And it just exhausts you even more. And the problem usually isn't that you need to do more. The problem is that you've lost that connection with the person you're doing all of this for, you. And so that's a great place where I start with my clients. And it's not about a productivity system, right? We start by reconnecting with themselves. We talk about the future versions of themselves and who they want to become and who they're trying to become. We brainstorm goals and whether they're really big and impressive or small or practical or whatever. We just get curious. We write them all down. What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? And then we put that to the side and we talk about values because your values are a compass. And when you're disconnected, you feel overwhelmed, your values are a way to help you get back to yourself. They help you understand what deserves a very strong yes and also a very strong guilt-free full sentence no. And once we reconnect with those things, then we go back and revisit those goals. Then we make a plan because now you're building from alignment, not obligation to everyone else, to everything else around you. So here's what I want you to do with all of this, because we're not just about inspiration here, we're also about action. I want you to sit down, do it now, and I want you to get a piece of paper, okay? And we're gonna do like this energy audit. And I want you to stop treating this like a productivity problem when it may actually be a disconnection problem. So this takes 10 minutes, set your timer. And what you're going to do is take 2 columns. And the one column is going to be what gives me energy. And the other column is going to be what drains me. And just write it down. Do it without judgment. Do it with curiosity. We can come back to it later. But write down everything that gives you energy and everything that drains you. So why are we doing this? Because we can't make positive change and actionable change that we want without awareness. So this is not about judging yourself. This is just about awareness, okay? If you're listening to me or watching this on YouTube, go over to my Instagram at Meg Deford and shoot me a DM, just say podcast, and I'm going to send you something that will help with all of this. It's a tool that I use with my clients when they're feeling stuck and disconnected, and I think it will help you. So at Meg Deford, DM me podcast. Okay, so before we wrap this up, I want to leave you with this. Notice how quickly your brain wants to rush and solve and fix and optimize and improve. And let's just take a deep breath together and sit with this for a second. What if the answer isn't more effort? What if it's reconnection? And if that's the case, what if the next step isn't becoming some new improved version of yourself? It's just sitting back and remembering who you are and applying that to who you want to be. All right. So next week's episode is a must listen. I'm sitting down with Amanda Reese, who spent more than a decade living with debilitating pain. She knew something was wrong. She couldn't get a diagnosis. And then she finally got a diagnosis of cervical cancer and stage 4 endometriosis. Oh, we talk about self-advocacy, healing, grief, identity, and why manifestation has a lot less to do with vision boards and everything to do with alignment and action. You don't want to miss it. Her story is so frustrating, but so powerful. All right. Until then, take care of yourself and each other. Bye.